Looking at directed energy weapons right now. Coming up from the south side. This weekend simulations came from the east. This is where the sheriff's department is supposed to meet a lone wolf attacker on this campus right here at this intersection. So on that city bus, you have, in this simulation, 2 homeless individuals getting ready to go right past that directed energy weapon right there in between those trees. Law enforcement staged up in between the smaller directed energy weapon, that dome radar tower, and then the next rad. Law enforcement protecting it over there. Yep, you got one over there, and that one. These are normal employee cars. I've been here many times. Probably being advised to move their vehicles around so I don't get their license plates. One of the things that people are worried about are who are the individuals in here playing God with the weather, who used these weapons against our families in Western North Carolina. Who did it? Who are they? And getting their plates is going to be very easy. You can just send a few homeless people through there, have them just get out and walk around with a dog. You're allowed to access this, America. Casually get some pictures and videos of all the vehicles parked there. Who's working here? Who's responsible for helping the military perpetuate a land grab in Western North Carolina? Who's playing God with the weather here? Who are the individuals? No special news report from CNN or Fox News or Newsmax, Right Side Broadcasting. How come Alex Jones or Dane Wigington or somebody has never come after these towers and attacked the problem and taken the people straight to where these weapons are? How much money do you have to raise for a fundraiser to get people together with flags and poster boards just to send them home after a few hours of chanting and hoorah-rahing. How much is left over? Because it definitely doesn't cost that much. People are spending money out of their own pocket to go to those things. They had no sufficient security. They knew an attack was coming at some point. Even if they started mobilizing right now, the drone's already up in the air in this simulation. And in this simulation, it's a drone carrying a payload. That payload will drop specifically on top of that tower. The acid will go and eat through the dome itself and the technology, the spiral cord that's within it. It would drop straight down. And right now we're just trying to calculate what is the risk to life. You got to make sure you have a good day without too much wind. We already know a decoy will work on these people. The cartel got really good at securing the supply line. They hid them. Unfortunately, the military can't hide these directed energy weapons. They just need Americans to believe their Doppler radars, and they're here to protect you by giving you advance warnings. Another big lie. Daily walkers. I don't know if you can see them here, but you'll see them out here Monday through Friday. All kinds of people will be walking through here. You can just throw on your sweatsuits and your jogging clothes or whatever you wear and take a stroll, and you can actually walk right under those towers. That's how I got my pictures. Yeah. The Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, we're coming up with a lot of good ideas. Without you guys overplaying your hand, I mean, there's no way you can secure all three of those units simultaneously unless you built a wall and put sensors around. That didn't stop the cartel from getting up to my properties. I don't think it'll stop VOP from getting to those towers. So I'm wondering what law enforcement is going to do. You know these were used against our families in Western North Carolina. What are you going to do about it? You go and take guns from people. If you think they're mentally ill and unfit, you'll go confiscate their firearms. Well, I'm telling you, the United States military is mentally ill and unfit. They're playing God with the weather. Don't any of you have intestinal fortitude to use your position in authority to tell these entities to stop committing these crimes? If it was discovered that China was doing a secret lab on this campus, mutating the virus, FBI, Homeland Security, everybody, JTTF, everybody's going to be swooping in, surrounding this campus. Local law enforcement, sheriffs are going to coordinate with it. They're going in there to show the world just how much they care to save America. But the United States military can play God with the weather and use these weapons that they put in our infrastructure. Yeah, we'll give you a safety alert system on the weather weapons we're going to create, generate, modify, escalate, and send right up your way. Be it a hurricane, flood, high winds, especially those high winds. They're loving the winds. What's President Trump going to do? I don't know if Iran's going to work. The Pope's working a little bit, but it's not going to work for a majority of conservatives. Even the Catholics, they know what that guy was about. It wasn't about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. But the world mourns a pope. Where are the people mourning the deaths from Hurricane Helene, the weather weapon that was sent to Western North Carolina? Targeted Western North Carolina, destroyed parts of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia. I mean, he didn't care anything in your path, huh? The United States military is playing God with the weather. These directed energy weapons that we're running simulation attacks on. So people, if you have them in your community, we advise you to go notify the local authorities that you are going to run simulation attacks on how to destroy these directed energy weapons. Should you exhaust all means, and then run your simulation attacks. Once people start focusing on attacking and eliminating these weapons and calling them what they are, they're weapons. We want them to be gotten rid of. It's like we got some sewer line workers. So we saw them come, especially for nighttime attacks during dusk, when we're getting ready to hit them at night. They pulled their vehicles up. But then the people that are watching this in law enforcement, superiors and stuff, they're allowed to make some little ground call in this simulation. And they're like, well, that doesn't look good, because now we're showing America that we're more concerned about protecting the directed energy weapons than we are about protecting the community that's impacted from these directed energy weapons. So we've already got that covered just through simulation, and law enforcement played their part perfectly. That's exactly what we expect them to do. We expect them to uphold the law against all the poor people, anyone driving too fast. You got a tail light out, they'll pull you over left and right around this area and get revenue. We expect them to do that. We expect them to move on and secure and protect directed energy weapons that the United States military is using against you. That's what that simulation showed you. Law enforcement will not protect you. They won't even protect their own children from these sky poisons, from these weather weapons, from these experiments. And so many of them know, but it's above their pay grade. They have no faith in the Lord. These people are playing God with the weather. They're playing God with the weather. All you have to do is have faith in God. What they definitely don't want is journalists, independent investigative journalists, alternative media journalists to start going to all these sites and running attack simulations and inviting people to come up. Can't leave until the job's done. One of the detectives said, well, what good is it going to do if you just take out one? They'll just bury it in the news. It's all going to be forgotten. No one's going to do anything. Well, it's good if you take out one, and in the process of doing that takeout, you show how the criminals, protecting the criminals, are going to respond, law enforcement. You know where they stand. They stand on the side of the military treason, not on the side of the people they swore an oath to the Constitution to protect, to serve, to have honor, integrity. Nope. So anyone saying, how do I go about doing this? What did that guy do? You can bury it in the news, but there's going to be so much video evidence out there, videos that haven't even been shown yet, that I could just simply spend 2 days putting together. And then you got your blueprint. And then it can be linked into every article about whatever happened to whoever decided they was going to take out a directed energy weapon. How'd they do it? And then maybe a bunch of lone wolf attacks will take place. Now imagine if you get more journalists at these sites, more people looking up Doppler radar in their area. Google it, it's still available. I'm surprised they haven't taken it down. But you can do a Google search to find your next rad towers if you have any in your area. You gotta be close to them to be pulled up on the map, but if you got them near you, pull them up. Don't even go and do what we did. See, what I did is I went and notified law enforcement that we're running, for word, simulation attacks on how to destroy directed energy weapons that the United States military is utilizing to play God with the weather. Those are what we're doing. So, and you don't see no major mainstream explosion on this, because when I was in Western North Carolina talking about doing this, you know, it was, oh, this guy's crazy, he's saying all this, they're going to have to do something to him. They can't do nothing to me. I'm not violating the law, and I serve an almighty God that's far above them and these little towers they think to give them power. But now that I'm here, and the governor's been notified, and senators have been notified, and representatives have been notified, highway patrol's been notified, local law enforcement's been notified, the sheriff has been notified, because I'm operating in this county, and this county deployed these weapons against you, North Carolina, for our families to see these videos. So, pretty good clear day to see them. What's going on, Zach? Tell Aaron and everybody I said hi. Here we go. All right. Now they are dispersing the stratospheric aerosol injections. They're over there to the west. We got some small bursts that's gone over here to the east. We haven't got any big checkers yet, but they are deploying the sky poison. So for local law enforcement, why don't you look up to the sky and look up to your east and west? And why don't you understand that your children are absorbing these poisons? Your loved ones will get sick. If your children has breathing problems, respiratory issues, it's not just the vaccines and the bioweapons. They're choking on poisons every day because you're protecting the directed energy weapons that the military uses to manipulate the sky poisons. And without the sky poisons being able to be manipulated, they serve no purpose. Even with the big HARP unit, it kills their research if you eliminate one component of their research. In this case, we're staging to eliminate ground-based units. Unless the military would like to show us that removing these ground-based units is not going to affect their new HARP facility that they've established in the Arctic, and that they have advanced the technology to the point that they don't need these towers. But if they didn't need these towers, there wouldn't be a media blackout on what's been transpiring for the past 3.5 days. So they still need these towers. And as long as these towers are powered up, they're manipulating the weather. So right now, every day, doesn't matter. I am not lying when I'm telling people to call 911, even if you're not in Cleveland County, and you tell them transfer you to Cleveland County's 911, Cleveland County, Oklahoma. Tell the sheriff to get his butt out here. I'm not making no special trip to go to their offices. They're going to come and look at these things and look at this camera and tell you what they plan to do about these weapons being used. And let's get them on camera. You don't have the authority to protect the American people from the United States military. Is that where your authority stops? We want the sheriff to tell everyone on camera, answer the question. It's my job as a journalist to get the tough questions answered. Does the sheriff have the authority or not to shut down this facility because evidence has already been provided to the local FBI, the governor, representatives, senators, that these weapons were utilized to steer weather weapon Helene up to western North Carolina. And I just need one case. There's all kinds of other NEXRAD data on the other storms, the wildfires, the winds that pick up after they deploy the dews. You know, not those, all those wildfires are started by lightning strikes, guys. You don't get wildfires during a hurricane that wipes out only the poor people at Maui and Lahaina. Yeah. These ground-based units are weapons that's been embedded in our infrastructure. Oklahoma University, a $1.8 billion endowment. They definitely don't want to lose their contracts with the United States military. They want to keep playing God with the weather. Doesn't matter how many of you are out there. Military wants your land. BlackRock wants your land. You know, if you're in a tornado area, guess what's coming your way? If you're on the coast, guess what's coming your way? Oh, wait. Even if you're not on the coast, guess what originally only hits land and breaks up, now can hit land and be steered as a hurricane all the way up to the mountains, to you Appalachian folks that's already experienced the horrible, horrible devastation that these weather weapons cause. They've done it to our families and friends. They're going to do it to you. They're going to do it to you. So the drone's already been deployed. Whether or not it's successful is just dependent upon the acidic compound. They have this do not contact. So I'm running around trying to find anyone in law enforcement that's going to come. If anyone wants to call 911 and say there's a crazy guy threatening to destroy a Doppler radar tower at the Oklahoma University, well, you're not lying. We're doing a simulation. Of course, the lone wolf is not crazy. I'm telling you the truth. What's crazy is so many people know the truth and they don't have the intestinal fortitude to go out and even look at it. Go out and look at one of these NEXRAD towers near you. You stand there and look at it. Then God will show you. And you'll have eyes to see. And you'll see something that the other people it won't even click in other people. They're going to change the channel right away. Something new and fascinating is coming up. It'll be a future simulation. We're going to keep attacking this coming up from the south this way. At nighttime, we'll see if they change any of the positions or where they're parking vehicles. If you're tuning in, yes, law enforcement is protecting the military's directed energy weapons that were utilized to murder all those people with weather weapon Helene. Confirmed weather weapon, undeniable, irrefutable. We all know military is playing God with the weather. They've been doing it for decades, over a century now, actually. Some of the patents Lori handed over to the FBI and research goes back to like 1916, I believe. So there's no denying that everything I'm reporting is true. Sky poisons are getting closer. Got a plane landing over there. Well, it appears that Saul's army was so afraid of the giant that they deployed to defend the giant. Think about that. These are supposed to be the good guys in uniform. I'm not just talking about the military. I'm talking about your local sheriffs, local law enforcement. So when someone tells you that they don't care, that local law enforcement is not going to protect you, right here, you have a truthful simulation taking place. Law enforcement showing exactly what they're going to do while we tell them we're going to do this, or we're going to move in and try this. They're going to move in position and do what they got to do. They're in the process of just keeping their vehicles hidden more, off to the side. It's a lot of distance to cover, not too much really, but state land boundaries. We'll get those answered this week. With this process, we're kind of counting on enough people making the phone calls to where it's such an annoyance that the sheriffs will come out and just get it on record, because they're not going to be able to provide any solution to this problem. Nor can they legally stop you from becoming a problem of this problem. You know, they're not going to do anything other than defend the military's weapons that are being used against you. So just like so many of you learned during COVID, what happened during COVID, guys? We all saw moms getting dragged and arrested for wanting to take their kids to the park. Dads, parents getting arrested. How many CPS child kidnappings took place during the scandemic? So many people hurt. God saw everything, heard every cry, and collected every tear in a golden bowl. The kings that mankind has elected for them and their armies will defend a powerful military that's experimenting upon you right now, poisoning you. They have weapons already embedded should you revolt, and at some point they want to trigger that revolt. They didn't put these weapons in here not to use them. And you need to look at your cell towers. Those aren't just cellular repeaters up there. That's not just cell phone technology up there. The LRAD equipment, they placed this equipment inside your infrastructure to use against you and your children. See, we give them our sons and daughters who volunteer, and with their volunteer service, one of the things they do is get like 50-something jabs. They take all the bioweapons that are eventually released upon the population. Remember, all those bioweapons warp sped into you guys. That was warp sped from the United States military. Those were military They want people to try to blame China and the Wuhan lab. Anyone you see going out with that lie, they're just part of a smoke screen. There's several smoke screens out there. Military's been exposed for far more than just what they did in San Francisco. Biological attack with their fog. Got away with it, Nuremberg Code violation. What they did on 9/11, working with the Mossad, taking out the Twin Towers. Thank you, United States military. What they're doing every day to your skies, poisoning you. Deploying these ground-based units to manipulate those poisons in the skies into weapons. and to steer them your direction. Nothing I'm saying is a lie. Everything I said is the spoken truth. And there are so many law enforcement who will nod their head and agree with me. And they're not just agreeing with me to shut me up and get me out of there. We know those types. Some of them chirp in and they'll talk about DARPA and the other military programs. And the most common theme is, it's above my pay grade. I keep hearing that. It's not above Jesus' pay grade. So Jesus is the one who ultimately makes this decision. These people have no authority when it comes to these matters when we've taken it to the throne. They think there's going to be a one-hit wonder. Well, that's not going to happen. God's bigger than that. One child trafficking camp in Tucson led to the discovery of dozens of others, and women and kids pulled off the trafficking line with a bunch of bad guys caught. Over 15 tons, 20 tons of trash. I can't even remember. I think we stopped counting at 15, and trash was still being picked up by Butterfly, Allen, so many, Bonnie, Judy, Sandy, Dustin, Jacob. A lot of people. Simulation with 2 journalists is going to be occurring tomorrow, which is also going to show a decoy operation another way. I like showing these people, and I want them to do everything they possibly can to feel so confident that they got these towers secured, because that's when the Lord strikes. Go ahead. Fortify the encampment. Let America watch. And let's see if they repeat the same tactics. Someone goes to a location where a next rad tower is right now. They've already learned from some of the things we've been doing to them this weekend. We're going to apply that. Because they're going to be like, these people are just copying what he's doing. So I'm the blueprint. They're going to monitor. That's why you got to think outside of the box. Go out and stare at them. How would you destroy them? How would you shut them down? How would you do it without causing harm to life? Is it possible to shut it down without causing any harm to the equipment? Well, by law, it is. It's supposed to be, according to their policy. But would they abide by that policy and protect your life? When they want these towers to be operating, to gather the data, feed it into their quantum AI, become more powerful at generating and predicting. They're just a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they can self-fulfill it because they poison the skies, and they have ground-based units that manipulate those poisons in the weather systems. That's all it is. They're playing like they're prophets. Every one of your meteorologists. These people sign non-disclosure agreements with the United States military when it comes to the weather data that's being provided. Those people talking on TV, a majority of them have no idea. And they think they're some famous meteorologist, and they got all these people following them. We had Janice Dickens out at Swannanoa. You guys remember that? She interviewed Samantha, who was telling everybody there's no food, there's no water, there's no power, there's no sanitation. It was 2 months after the storm, 2.5 months. It wasn't a storm either. Directed energy weapon. One thing I'm seeing is the white units down that middle road, staying on that side. we have to do is be consistent and maintain constant pressure. Let God build the army behind you. Your job's just to get out there and keep the focus right on the target. And then switch the whole conversation. There's no need to talk about proving what these things are and what they do. The proof has already been shown. By the blood of the Appalachian people and the land that was stolen, that Trump administration still won't return. No one came out when he took over and said, you can have your property back. You can rebuild your business here. We're not going to condemn you. No one did. No one came back. None of the property was returned. They're going to get to that lithium. That was pledged by this administration. These weapons are what allowed them to cause that destruction, to depopulate that area. And it's not repopulating. So many people out there, they know they're targeted for what's underneath their feet. More of them are going to end up selling. Psychological war is going to work and advance on that front. With all the other weather weapons being deployed and flooding taking place and quote-unquote wildfires across the nation, a big portion of what Rome serves on their table for Americans to gorge themselves upon is all these quote-unquote natural disasters. And they spread you out. So there's no hope for the Western North Carolina people. After LA, they hit that area with directed energy weapons. Malibu, oh yeah, just like they did Paradise Valley, or Grass Valley and Paradise up there in Northern California. There's no need to prove what these things did. We saw it. The evidence has already been provided. There's been no response from the Department of Defense. The allegation being made that the FBI received in Oklahoma City with evidence and eyewitness testimony under the penalty of perjury. I can't go there and lie to them and have them open an investigation on fake stuff. Are you kidding me? No. Under the penalty of committing a felony, the complaint's been made by an independent investigative journalist and a whistleblower researcher that only solidifies this complaint more. It shows people how they were prepared for this years ago, because this researcher had her material plagiarized by Dane Wigington. But where's the military's response? They call me the commander of a militia, a Christian nationalist militia. So the leader of a Christian nationalist militia has been running simulation attacks, causing law enforcement to add more resources to a university where directed energy weapons are. And he's accusing the United States military of playing God with the weather through the USAP program, utilizing HARP, the NEXRADs, and don't forget the cloud seeding ships and the mobile HARP units and the transitional HARP units. I mean, utilizing these pieces of equipment, similar, bigger, or smaller, to manipulate and control the weather. That's what the complaint is. The complaint's been sent to the President of the United States. The complaint's been sent to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, we know President Trump knows about it, so I don't want anyone saying, well, does Trump know? He absolutely knows. Now, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, yes, they know. They won't push the complaint past them up to Pam Bondi. So people are saying, well, wait a minute, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, they're patriots. They're on the good side. Well, you haven't seen them release the names of all the Republicans and conservatives that were banging children on Jeffrey Epstein's island. How many rape and murders and sacrifices took place that all the Republicans took place in? There's a reason why they want to hold that list up. Some of those people are in the president's cabinet, still touted as a good man. And if you're touted as a good man by the president of the United States, you're not going to be getting any type of bad publicity coming your way with the FBI. But they're going to release JFK files. Just leave out some of the irrefutable evidence of how Israel and the Mossad was actually part of assisting in that assassination. Not allowed to say anything bad about Israel. You'll be called an anti-Semite. Even though yesterday our Lord and Savior rose, conquered death, and he was the king of Jews. So I don't know how you could be an anti-Semite when you bow at the feet of Jesus Christ. He's your Lord. So don't worry about those lies. Tell the truth. We're just telling the truth. So the President of the United States knows. R.F. Kennedy Jr. knows. I mean, the military's known for 2 years. I've been a pain in their butt. Sometimes I come out of my hole, you know, where I'm out on the streets working and taking care of people, and I just go after a military base, and, you know, I just knock on their door and let them know I'm there. Now, why wouldn't it be illegal, or even unlawful, for a community to be trained on how to safely remove weapons that are being used against them without their consent? I mean, you're talking about eliminating military equipment. Now, if this was at an air base and they had, you know, the AWACS, for example, over there at Tinker, and I'm standing here and I'm running a simulation and we're going to destroy that AWAC, oh, I wouldn't be able to do that. That actually would be a terroristic threat. Now, if it's a cloud seeding tanker and I'm specific in saying I'm going to destroy that unit right there that is dispersing all the poisons in the skies that we're choking on, I'm going to destroy it so it can't fly no more. I don't think they would be able to do anything, because now you're no longer a terrorist that's just destroying some random piece of military equipment. Now you're a patriot who's recognized that the military is committing treason, using weapons against you, poisoning you, and you don't have to consent. See, now you're not violating any law. And when you start looking at the laws they're violating and start attacking them, even if you're doing it in a simulation, you've done stopped what every controlled opposition out there wants you not to stop. They don't want their people watching their videos, listening to, or leaving from watching their videos. They don't want their people not listening to their weekly podcast. They don't want their people to get on the ground and go to where the directed energy weapons are, where the military installations are, where the research facilities are, all of them, and start running simulations on how to attack and shut down those centers, shut down those weapons. Because now, one, they're not going to be able to profit off of anything. What happens if these simulations turn real? The people are only going to get smarter, and as law enforcement continues to expose themselves by protecting these directed energy weapons, the people will only get more bolder, because they know they don't have to wait for law enforcement no more. There's someone much bigger and much greater than our coward sheriff in Cleveland County. It's like everywhere we go, there's always some sheriff. Never once have we found a sheriff, except for one that we're not going to expose in North Carolina. There's a good one out there. So, but on ground operations like this, we don't find no sheriffs. Man, there's deputies. There's always good patrol officers on the streets. There's a couple good people in the FBI, believe it or not, there is. You can find a couple decent people in there. But sheriffs, man, I don't understand. They have no balls when it comes to the feds. We saw what Gillespie did, trying to assist the Obama administration and cutting the cattle ranchers out and take away a tradition of what people were doing. And we saw how the media utilized taxes. Man, could you imagine if they try to play that game right now, when you got like 80% of conservatives saying they're done, they're not paying taxes for this crap no more. You guys have been exposed, blah, blah, blah. That whole tax scenario they ran on the public back then, that amped up so much support for the feds stealing land that didn't belong to them. You gotta remember, man, they convinced people to fight for the federal government who seized land that they have no power, they have no jurisdiction outside of D.C., for crying out loud. You can look back and learn from history at how they've manipulated people. Right now, they got a giant table, man. That's the only thing we're battling. But, as it says, our Heavenly Father prepares a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. He anoints my head with oil. My cup runneth over. There's some good places out there where VOP programs are operating on the streets, be it Spokane or Tucson or Phoenix There's a lot of places we've been in there and we've gone and shown this is what you do. And we don't just sit and tell you to do it. We get out and film and we show you and we do it. Same thing with tracking the cartel on the border. I mean, there's thousands of videos just because every single day for years we lived on the trafficking routes and we marched through the desert and we filmed all the smuggling routes, found 16 major corridors utilized in Pima County, which was the largest county on the southern Arizona border. And we took people out every day and filmed, and we got mocked and laughed at. They laughed at us. We were picking up trash. We made ourselves available to Border Patrol and said we're going to start cleaning all this trash up. This way they could tell if new groups came through because the trash had piled up on top of trash. So we started cleaning everything up, and then we started getting cell phones, IDs, passports, notebooks, maps. We was getting so much intelligence, we needed a whole team just to sit down on the computers all day and go through all that information. We were laughed at online, just laughing at us. And there we were collecting stuff, and then all of a sudden, what happened? Cameras went up, and then just boom, sex offender, boom, sex offender, boom, MS-13, boom, group of illegal criminals, boom, drugs. It's just nonstop. Boom, HVT. They love the high-value targets, previously deported child predators too. For some reason, they just want to keep coming back here. They got like the demon has to come up here and feed on the lambs up in this area. They laughed. Then they got angry. And then it's like, oh, it's all fake. But as always, we do invite people. You can come up here today. You can just take a stroll right up to the next rat towers. Directed energy weapons. See with your own eyes. We'll be here all week. I don't think the Sheriff's Department's going to come out today and answer the 911 call. I know they'll watch. There's some law enforcement watching right now. Once again, I really would appreciate it if you grow a pair. Tell America the truth. Get together with all your boys in blue and brown and black. Come out with those taxpayer-funded vehicles and weapons. Kill the power to this entire facility. Evacuate everybody off of this facility. Surround this facility. And protect the American people from this facility. Be really nice if you would do that, so our families in North Carolina who watch be able to go to sleep tonight, knowing that at least they can't steer a hurricane up into those mountains again. See, they got to work around that ditch. Told you the ditch, there's another one. Yeah, just stay on the road. Now, if you want to come out and look at directed energy weapons, you're more than welcome to. If you want to join some other people making a special trip out here tomorrow, more than welcome to. If you head to Norman, Oklahoma, and you want to run a 24/7 simulation against this facility until you simulated every possible thing that you can imagine, so there is no confusion, got to pick one of those and execute it if the Sheriff's Department can't come up with a better idea. Let's say you, Chris, you're the sheriff of the county. So law enforcement's moved up over this way to let's see if they intercept the visitors. They're just going to go look at the next rat tower. There's nothing posted that says you can't come across here anyway. There's nothing posted here. They don't want. There's this big thing with state land that we're saving. Gives us the advantage with the simulation. It's a guy on foot just walking up. Now he's going to walk by just to hear what those people are saying, what their conversation is. See if they say anything that's like a trigger word, like next rad, directed energy weapon, military treason, governor stick cowardice. Oh, now see how he turns around? So he just walked up. That's a good job, Elios. I mean, I know, I see it. Now he's talking to him right now. Bam. Hold on. I see it. You guys are doing good. There's Elios making sure they check with people that are walking up over there. You don't know that guy over there, right? And they're just going to say, nope, we don't know that guy. Who is that guy? He is. Now he's walking up over this way now. So yeah, he did stop him. He did stop him to make sure. That unit's still parked right there, though. It moved up, and it's parked right on the other side where the tip of my finger is. This guy's still walking up over here. Let's see if he wants to answer any questions. But as you guys can pretty much see, I mean, right there, anybody, what am I showing you? Anybody. Now, law enforcement doesn't like that right there. They definitely don't like you guys seeing that. First, it shows again that they will intercept and move to see whether or not you're part of a simulation that's occurring. You know, where VOP News is running a special on how to eliminate directed energy weapons that the military has embedded within the civilian infrastructure. You can actually walk in from that way too, just so you know, and cross the field. Now you'll get probably about 15 yards off of that smaller unit. There is a no trespassing sign. That's where the boundary is. It's but you'll see people, they walk. Once they're on this public street, they'll even walk and turn around in the little parking lot over there and walk back. This campus, a lot of people walk all over it. So you would blend yourself in with groups of people. I mean, you could catch a group like that was going up, and if you're dressed like a yuppie, you're really going to fit in out here, man. Put on like a collared shirt and some nice pressed khaki pants, you know. Walk tall, put a little badge on you as if, I think this guy wants to come over and have a chat. Oh, he just came over just to touch the sign and go back. Hey, just making sure that, you know, I guess he's got to finish playing it off. So earlier we saw the city bus that goes right there, boom. And it's so easy, emergency, get off the bus, you're right at that tower. This one right here, you see group, comes in, just walks slowly across, and boom, there's the towers. Let's see if I can fix that, sorry. So now the campus has been infiltrated twice. You see how easy it is actually too. The public roads, right of access that run through the campus, well, those are always going to be vulnerable. The area around the 3 directed energy weapons, well, they're always going to be vulnerable area. You have no fencing, you know, and there'd be a big thing. I mean, I don't know who would even pay for that. Would state land pay for it? Either way, the taxpayers would pay for it, because Oklahoma University, their $1.8 billion endowment, I mean, they get so much money from the military and the American taxpayers for their weather research. It's insane. You can see the chemtrails that were dispersed earlier slowly blowing our way. There's a couple streaks right there. Okay. We got the hazing and the streaking going on today. Okay, got a unit coming from over there. No sheriffs? Come on, Chris. 911, it's an emergency, bro. You need to tell everybody in the county what they're doing, Chris. You know. If you want, you come on down here, Chris, and you swear me in, and you give me authority, and I'll just go ahead and show you how to shut this place down and get everybody out safely and drag the military's butts out here and put them on camera and have them tell the American people what they did to our families in Western North Carolina, Chris. You come down here. I'll join your team for just as long as it takes to get everybody set up to show you how to safely protect your community from these directed energy weapons and shut them down. And everybody can be mad at me, Chris. The crimes occurring in your county, it's a violation of federal law. Feds are out of control. Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, they're protecting the military's use of these weapons and poisons against us. In violation. It's in violation. They're violating the PrEP Act. I've already shown in all three cases where it's in violation. They're in violation of the law. We've already shown you, Chris. We've shown your deputy chief. It's right there. You guys are watching. You guys seen what's been provided. Post it. Take your time. Go read through it a lot. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot to take in. We already provided you, Agent Rich. Right here, Chris. Barry and Robinson. You don't want me to come to your office. Right over there. It's a Connex over there. I didn't get too much done last night. Well, I was so wiped out. Did get some rest though. Yeah, I'm gonna go hang out at the Green Buffalo. See if I can't get anybody on the record of what they think about the military using these weapons against them and the sheriff refusing to respond. They'll probably just say it. They're not surprised. There are no real men these days. Just sit there and let the military, let their children choke on that stuff. Spraying, you can see it, nasty haze all around. It's coming in. Got their streaks running, 3 big ones running right there. You getting any calls, Chris, about a guy all in camo with a camo mask pointing at towers and the chemtrails in the skies over at the university? I wonder if you got any calls. I'm more likely to get calls from people just driving by if I start doing crazy stuff, huh? Sheriff's Department have to respond in, huh? So Cleveland County Sheriff's Department is still refusing to come out. You've seen 2 ways since we started that you could casually get in and get right up on those towers too, even with all the security. Security only works if it's a lone wolf and they're in simulation. I remember at Beale Air Force Base, they just kept delaying and delaying and delaying. So it just escalated as the weeks went by. And those of you guys will remember, I had different characters, different costumes I had. And I went all out too. From having like a bloody kitchen knife with a psycho mask on my face to my last one was a hunter. Had my whole face camoed out in black. But I was wearing a fluorescent hat, my big hunter fluorescent jacket, and I took my V-Detect, my tripod, and it folds certain ways, and I modified it. I folded it in a way to where I could put my big camera on the end of it, and it looked like a rifle, except it was just a camera on the end of it. Once you got up, you definitely could see, even from a distance, and the people had known me. And so I went out there on the highway, and instead of using my camera like a laser gun, I had a gun attachment, a handle that was screwed on the bottom of it, so then I could point at it like I was clocking the law enforcement. And remember, I was taking pictures and clocking everybody that was in military uniform coming off of Beale Air Force Base, and all law enforcement officers, highway patrolmen, the sheriffs, Marysville PD, Linden, and then Yuba City. So we would get all those law enforcement officials and people trapped on that bridge. After a couple days of seeing this, so many people took that work commute. Pretty soon we ended up with a big following, a fan club. And then I marched down to Beale Air Force Base with my assault camera rifle, you know, and I had the sheriffs follow me march. And that was a long march. That was a 5-hour march from the location I started up in Linden. So it was a extensive march. I did a lot of stopping. Every time the sheriffs would drive by, I crouched down low and I point my camera rifle at them. And 90% of the time, I wasn't even taking pictures. You know? Just didn't really care. The whole point was to do something that people hadn't seen before. Now, when I was on Highway 70, these people called the police, 911. Chris, you remember, I know they've shown you what I've done, so I'm only explaining some things that might be happening with this simulation. But I know how to get the Sheriff's Department, the Highway Patrol, and law enforcement to respond to an area without violating any law. I know how to get all these people driving up and down past these directed energy weapons to get at least 10 to 20% of them to call 911 on this counter right here. This is where the table is, guys. It's got a good angle. I want you to stand right there. Sheriff, Chris, I want you to stand right there. I want these towers to be behind you that was used to murder our families in Western North Carolina. And I want you to speak to the camera. And I want you to tell the American people, one, is it unlawful for an American citizen to destroy a weapon that's being used against them? Well, you're going to tell them the truth, Chris. I showed you. Non-consent's been delivered. So I don't know, but you're going to have to answer truthfully on that. You're going to have to say no. Then it's going to be, if it's not unlawful for an American citizen to do it, then why isn't law enforcement doing it when they uphold more of a higher authority with the enforcement of laws being violated? It's not unlawful for Chris to do it. Chris could shut this center down right now. He's a sheriff. And he's being called out. So at the end of the day, something happens. He's the one at the end of the day. Chris, you're the one that's on the chopping block now. You're the guinea pig. The military made me a guinea pig, so now I'm down here making you a guinea pig. So we know how to escalate this to get 911 calls. We know how to contact local media and ask them if they want to join a simulation where a militia storms those towers disguised as joggers and walkers. Know how to do a lot, Chris. You come on down, swear me in, bring me a vehicle. I don't need no gun. Got my Bible. That's all I need. I'll show you how to march up in there and shut it down without even having to pull a gun on these people. Come on down, Chris. It's just going to get hotter tomorrow, Chris. It's just going to escalate. Someone else with a camera who can't be intimidated coming out. I know you probably know who he is already, so. James O'Keefe, he's more welcome to come out here. So I told him that those people were murdered, and these are some of the weapons used to murder those people. Families still have no homes. Still don't have a home. And nobody got their land back. You think our demands would be seen as reasonable demands? We want them just to uphold the law. And the military is violating the PrEP Act in Title 50. They're not allowed to cause harm to life with their experiments. They're not allowed to. They're prohibited. And they can't do this to Americans, even in peacetime, unless they have consent. And just because 99.99999% of Americans are giving consent by not delivering non-consent, it's supposed to be informed consent, but that whole informed word, that's what's missing right there. So they have default consent by the American people. So they think they're lawful right now, but they're not. They weren't lawful the moment the FBI received the complaints from Lori Kramer and Michael Lewis Arthur Meyer. At that point, they were unlawful. I can't do nothing about what they've done prior. But every day since we delivered that complaint, every time that tower's been activated and there's been some disaster in America, a flooding maybe. Now you gotta remember, we got a couple weeks of quote unquote storms that, no, they're not storms. These are weather weapons. So start paying attention to the clock. Because every one of them, well, the crime's being committed. And you can't ignore that. Now the non-consent's been delivered. The President of the United States knows. He's the commander-in-chief. Just because he chooses to violate his oath and permit the military to keep playing God with the weather doesn't mean that it's lawful. What you have is a tyrant at that point who decides he's going to give Americans a bunch of BS, make executive orders he won't even enforce because they know the courts that are playing along in this whole, this is a crisis action movie going on right now in politics. You'll see a resurrection of the Dems, and boy, they'll just keep sucking Americans into politics. Of course they haven't delivered consent. You haven't told them the truth. But you've been told the truth. Sheriff, you've been told the truth. Chris, come on out. Deputize me, Chris. I'll say everything your constituents need to hear truthfully and boldly without making them afraid, because there's a solution. It stops now. You don't have to worry about this no more. The president refused to declare a moratorium on the USAP operation, which permits the United States military to play God with the weather. But the sheriff has decided to uphold the Constitution that the president is in violation of. What's it going to be, Chris? That darn Constitution everybody wants to wave around, man. It's caused a big problem for these senators, especially for the governor last week. Man, it's a big problem. We're going to have to bring out the costumes and the homeless posse, huh, Chris? You guys watch me, you know what I've been doing. And I've been true to my word, period. Been true to it. Kept my word, Chris. From the ground up. The more locals that get involved in this, the bigger of a headache becomes for Chris. That's what he doesn't want. Wonder how much pressure they're applying to local media right now. I haven't contacted them or nothing. When I contact them, it'll be with some sensationalized video, who knows? Some crazy video about a militia in America finally stood up to the United States military's treason upon the people. Maybe if I just use the words like geoengineering and blame Bill Gates and say he wants to block out the sun to prevent global boiling. And we got to stop Bill Gates. And Bill Gates is financing these machines. Maybe if I took all the blame off of the military, who's actually guilty of the crimes, and I put it on a lesser entity, maybe then, Chris, you would be able to come out and shut this place down. Chris ain't a big fan of Bill Gates. But unfortunately, it's the United States military and it's not Bill Gates. If it was Bill Gates, Chris would have a pair of you-know-what. Now don't worry, we know how to get the sheriffs. We've gotten the Nanos and so many in the past. We know how to get the sheriffs that get them to answer the hard questions, especially when they refuse to do their job. There's an emergency call. The sheriffs are aware that we're here, and part of the simulation, they should be coming out to do what they would normally do if a citizen is being victimized and they're at the location of where weapons are being used against them. A crime's taking place right now. The sheriffs would normally respond to that call. Even if they think it's some crazy homeless person in an alley screaming, acting crazy, they're going to send a unit over to that spot. They've already heard a commotion. It's policy on the phone. So, I mean, that's what they should do. Now, when you have people from across America calling 911 and saying, connect me to Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, and then telling the Sheriff's Office there's a crime being committed on the corner of Berry Road and Robinson Street, well, then the calls start coming in. Now, you're not making your local 911 there's not going to be 100 of you in your area making a call. Everyone's scattered. So the only one that's going to get an influx of calls is going to be Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, because all the calls are being redirected to the local sheriff's office. We're just working in reverse. Remember how we used to get you guys to call Border Patrol, thank all the agents for what they were doing out there, and we were working to get a roof, a covering for one of their checkpoints? It was an area where we found a scout on the mountain watching them, and they could see everything, what the agents were doing out there. You know, same concept. We're just reversing it now. Everyone's calling 911 to have them transferred to the Cleveland County, Oklahoma 911, and there's a crime occurring on Robinson and Berry Street. And a member of the press is there filming it right now. Please get there immediately. That's it. That's it. They asked what the crime is occurring, saying that weapons of mass destruction are currently being used against the American people. My camera's pointed at them right now. You go into Iraq for WNDs, they say, yeah, we know that wasn't the reason they went into Iraq. They're building weapons of mass destruction all across the United States of America, going to blow up and destroy other people's Western weapons of mass destruction, I guess, but we'll build them here and use them against Americans. That's what the military's doing. While you're cheering for them, when they come back and throwing parades for them, they're poisoning your skies. You don't have blue skies, clear skies no more. Got a haze. Got chemtrails. Another cross pattern over there. They're poisoning your children. They have authorization. You're in live military exercises. I don't know how many times we got to keep repeating that. So since you're in military exercises, you got to start thinking as if you're in a war, because you're in a war. The military is at war against you. So now you have the most powerful, largest military in the world has weapons pointed at you. They're using weapons against you, and they're poisoning you every day. They're making your children sick. They're making you lethargic. They're using technology that pretty soon you won't have free will no more. Your will be whatever they decide, because they'll be able to manipulate it. That's what they're working on. You got to think as if you're at war, because you are. The military has you in live exercises. So now you have to play war games. Now you have to play war games, and it does escalate. At some point, you're going to have to take weapons out, because simulations would have ended. All sides are prepared. It's a fair fight. The community versus the United States military at Oklahoma University right here, for example. Building a fair fight. Let's make a fair fight. And it starts from the last and the least. We've already informed all the kings and queens at the palace at the Capitol in Oklahoma City. We're down here on the streets with the last and the least. There's quite a few. I'm going to tell you, there's an army of homeless people, and they all don't have warrants. So, and I've already got people that will help me with exercises. So that's a given. Whether or not it's going to be enough to get the curious onlookers and our families, people outside, you know, Tulsa, Stillwater, other parts of Oklahoma, to get down to run large-scale simulation attacks against these towers. But at some point, they're not going to be able to ignore it. And then people are like, well, wait a minute, why isn't it illegal to do that? It's because it's unlawful for the United States military to be doing what they're doing. So there's no law that prohibits you from preventing a crime that's occurring. There's no law. There's no protection for the criminals. There's no protection for them. There's only one way signs and flags work on this operation, and you guys are going to see. It's going to be when they come and they don't go home. And a lot of them don't have a home to go to, so it's easy to get a crowd. A lot of them don't have a home to go to. There's a couple businesses I talked to, pretty sure they're not going to have no problem with some of these simulations, especially since they've seen what's been happening. I walk up to law enforcement and they'll drive off run away in their vehicle. I'm going to ask any one of them, why aren't they upholding their oaths, and why are they permitting the military who are using these weapons against us? Why are they protecting this? Chris, you're the highest law enforcement official in the land. The only authority above you is Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. The feds can't say anything. And this is federal law that you know is being violated right now. Why aren't you upholding your oath? What are you afraid of? You'd be a hero to millions and millions of people who know that this is true. And they'd have more faith in the law enforcement that was used against them during the scandemic, that beat them, that locked them up, had them on home detention, enforced curfews, made them participate in rituals, told them to put diapers on their face and stand 6 feet apart. Because when you're doing a satanic ritual, you want to have 6 feet apart with your face covered. You know, that's just what they do. You're showing everybody right now, Chris, that oath you swore to uphold means absolutely nothing to you, bro. Nothing. Now let's hope the deputy chief I spoke with has a little bit more intestinal fortitude. Maybe you'll put him in charge and send him out here to talk to me. There's a complaint. Here, you guys are watching. I want you guys to come right there. We're running simulations. Now you're not playing by the rules. I'm going to have to break rules. I'm about to show people what do you do when law enforcement tries to avoid doing their duty to defend the community. When law enforcement won't stop a crime that's occurring, that's been proven, because it's the United States military committing that crime, and they say they have no authority. They don't want to do their job, or they're afraid. What do you do in that case? Well, at that point, you want to encourage them to do their job by getting some crazy antics going on right at this location that Chris is refusing to come out. And media gets involved with some of this. But since we're not having too much faith in the local media, and we've seen how they lock it out, they did it at Beale Air Force Base. The military is very powerful. Military-industrial complex, they don't play games. Your media is controlled. Even your alternative media is controlled. Bunch of echo chambers. They're all screaming at each other about the same thing every single day. Having no clue how big and large God is, and the very problems that they're afraid of are they're so easy. You could flip it and put the fear in the people running these programs. You put the fear in the President of the United States who's permitting these programs to take place. You take the fear out of our families in Western North Carolina, and you put the fear in the entities who caused their fear to begin with. What's it going to be, Chris? I got my do not disturb on, so you guys aren't going to be able to text me anything. I'm not listening to anything other than what I said. We're in simulation. Military's in live exercises. You want to play games? Let's play games. Stupid games win stupid prizes. You're about to win a stupid prize, Chris. These weapons were used against our families in Western North Carolina. You know it. And they're still being used to this day. Be known as the sheriff who stood up and did the right thing for every child in the United States of America choking on these poisons, or a sheriff who stood up and defended the United States military by cowering behind his desk and refusing to come tell a journalist who's doing live exercises against this equipment here. You're refusing to tell our subscribers the truth. All you have to do is look at the camera, Chris, and say that you're not going to protect this community from what the military is doing. Trying to do it the right way. There is no wrong way we do it, but the tactics we tend to use, they get a little more unsettling for those of you in law enforcement. Better pray and Tifa none of those idiots ever get the playbook that we use. You guys would be in so much trouble. Those aren't even real criminals. They don't even know how to think like a criminal. Bunch of idiot kids that's been programmed. All you gotta do is give them Jesus and something good to do, and you'd have an army with them too. If anybody in Antifa is watching this, you can get a hold of me, 520-500-4506, if you don't want to be an idiot anymore. And you want to suit up in your masks like I'm doing, and pace back and forth, and run simulations against these directed energy weapons. I'm happy to film you. We got a lot of scenarios to play out. They're going to cause 911 to happen. I mean, you're talking about a rocket fire shoulder launcher. You know, don't worry, it's just like a demo. It's not a real one. You know, it might look real from the road or something, but not a real one. You know, but sighting that in, and, you know, get a loud air horn before it shoots off. You got the big speaker, it just makes a loud boom. Of course, nothing happens. It's just a simulation. But imagine a bunch of people that look like they're in a militia coming up on these towers with a quote-unquote homemade rocket launcher. I mean, that's definitely going to get some 911 calls to you, Chris. And there's other ideas that we would love for people to come out and participate in. You going to protect your constituents, Chris? You going to protect our North Carolina families? God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will keep you as my footstool until you do, brother. You need to do the right thing. Grow a pair. Grow a pair. Anybody that wants to be blessing the homeless that are going to be participating in these operations, and believe me, some of the ones that I know and I've met and I've been staying with out here on the streets, you get to know them, they're going to come do it. They think it's funny, you know, it's cool. They know it's not against the law. They can't get in trouble. You know, they're not going to do it just because I'm feeding them or going out and getting them clean socks or something like that, or slipping them a 20. I mean, we do that regardless. But if you want to bless the homeless that are going to be coming out, and we will have videos for after, not during, after we ran it and you guys seen several days, so we don't have law enforcement going in and swooping up our guys. That's what they did at Beale Air Force Base. They protected that military base by going into the homeless community and arresting a gang leader who was going to bring quite a few people out with him to join me. You know, the homeless, they found enough people that had warrants, and the people that were talking to me, they found out if they had a warrant, and then they went and swooped them up. And then you guys saw the interviews we had. They're still on the channel. I could re-put them out for you, but the homeless are even sitting there saying on video that the only thing that's making it do is they're making the homeless and the criminals want to help me more. The more law enforcement target me and started going after and rounding up people, it didn't work. It had a counter effect on it. But then it got to a level of criminals to a certain thing where I can't control what some of those people are going to do, so I can't participate or get them involved in anything. Because I will end up around an element like me, but he's not a good me, he's an old me. And he's going to do something crazy that's going to hurt people just because. He can't think, he's angry, he doesn't know our Lord. And you'll end up around people like that when you do these operations. So always be careful. You should never have to harm a life. And it's not about getting a point across. As far as I'm concerned, the point's been made. Law enforcement, Chris, you guys have shown that you're going to defend these directed energy weapons. Oklahoma University has shown they're going to continue with their quote-unquote weather research. The United States military has shown that they're going to keep poisoning our skies with fungus, with mold, with bacteria, not just barium and aluminum. I mean, think of all the chemical and biological agents that are up there right now, dispersed, that we're all choking on. But people can't see it because it's been dispersed over the years and decades, and now there's this massive haze. And it's getting into all the wildlife, the vegetation, the water. Come on, Chris. This is your chance, bro. This is like Soylent Green when the guy figured out that they were feeding people humans and a bunch of satanic cannibals ruled the world. Check it out, Chris. Synagogue of Satan's playing God with the weather. It's your chance. So just so it's all everyone knows, and I have offered, so Chris, that's a genuine offer. If you would like to come out and deputize me so that I can resolve my own complaint that the FBI is refusing to, and that you appear to be a little too intimidated by the military too. So if you want to, just come on out here. Don't need a gun. No one will be hurt. Oklahoma University is going to be paying a lot of people not to come to work. I don't know how it's going to work out with their contracts. That's their problem. They should be pitching in for what happened to every single person devastated by weather weapon Helene. General Dynamics, you're not going to have very good publicity if this gets out. I need to go get some costumes, it looks like, Chris. Got a unit position right over there now. That's a new part. Normally not there. Usually on this side of the road. He's on that side of the road. He's actually looking the right way. They're starting to think. I mean, the only critique I have of them is, once again, people just saw two different ways that they can get right up on those towers. And I'm not always dressed looking the way I am. To what extremes are you going to let them go, Chris, to protect these military weapons? What happens when 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, 16 becomes 32, 32 becomes 64, 64 becomes 128? What happens? To 256? What happens? To 512? What happens? Will you do your job then? Because enough of these people who have no idea what's going on finally found out, and they decide to come out and fight for their right not to be poisoned and experimented upon? Chris, is that what you're going to do? At that point, if we get that many people, these are directed energy weapons we're doing a report on, guys. I hope you guys are having a good day. United States military is poisoning our skies. Check it out. What are you going to do, Chris, if all these people suddenly decide that they don't want those here no more? And it's not just 2 people in the state of Oklahoma who have complaints with the FBI, but it's a bunch of pissed off people who found out what the military was doing to them, and what the President of the United States still permits, and what the sheriff of this county refuses to shut down. Would you care then, Chris? Is that the challenge? Is that what these people need to know? That they have to go and deliver non-consent themselves before you'll do anything? You don't care about our families in Western North Carolina. You don't care about all the dead, the ones that still don't have homes. You care about protecting this university and these military weapons on this university. My Lord will sustain me, Chris. Thought you knew him. Got a grievance right now. You should come out here. 'Cause I ain't got no hatred in my heart. I'm not mad at you. I understand. I know why you're afraid. But I don't have the luxury to carry your fear. I'd be a little embarrassed. Why should I be afraid? Everything they've written about me is unfolding as a lie right now. If I was the commander of some militia, well, this is domestic terrorism. I'd be rounded up and thrown in jail for committing crimes and targeting an innocent U.S. military. The lies about me being an anti-immigrant on the border, that fell flat. How many children, women, men we minister to, pray with, gave Bibles to, coloring books for the kids, crayons. So when they were sitting in those paddy wagons, they had something to do. They just wanted people to be focused on the quote-unquote poor migrants we were turning over to Border Patrol. That's MS-13, man. 18th Street Gang. Sereno there, Norteño there, a Haji there. That's a prayer rug I'm holding up in the middle of the desert down there. Right on the route that's running through the properties I bought for Border Patrol agents so we can move on, occupy, and shut down the trafficking routes. There are many ways and things that God's shown me over the years, and there is no end in sight of simulations, and they only escalate. And this is like some stalemate, which I'm waiting to see what God does. Does he want enough people watching so when he tells me go, he can go ahead and bless me and use me and just, I know what he would have me do. I don't know. Is he going to have enough people watching to where he does something that no one can explain? Because he doesn't want his faithful servant to be held captive or harmed. Who knows? I have no idea what he's going to do. I just know he's going to do something. He has me here. And he keeps my frustration at such a calm level because all I have are angels telling me, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. It's a stalemate. You can move all over the place. You can't go forward, they can't go forward. God's going to ultimately decide. I want the fear removed from our families and everyone else who knows what these weapons are doing. I don't want you being afraid of them no more either. I don't want you having to choke on sky poisons. If they can't find a way to manipulate the weather without poisoning us and without using it as a weapon against us, then they have no business playing God with the weather. The entire system needs to be shut down. And don't say, oh, Russia's going to do it to us, China's going to do it to us. They let China incinerate us, map grid our whole place so they can assist in the directed energy weapon wildfire program. I mean, China holds deeds to state land and parks over here. They're making it look like we're fighting China and this administration, and that they're taking all these Chinese farmlands. They're playing out a script to pacify the people who are already awake, to make them sit and wait and think maybe something's going to happen. And something will happen. Another weather weapon will be deployed. More people will be murdered. Another area will be depopulated. Another smart city will advance its agenda. Unless, Sheriff Chris, get down here. You can do something right now, Chris. That's something mainstream media would not be able to ignore. You have to take this complaint. This is an official emergency. This isn't some activist journalist doing something. I mean, simulation is simulation. What you're telling me, Chris, is that you're not doing that part of the simulation. Well, then I can't agree to anything that I've agreed with, to any particular boundaries you say I have or anything like that. You're not upholding the law right now, when in fact I am a victim from these weapons. I've officially delivered my non-consent. The FBI has it. All you local law enforcement, U.S. Marshals, you got it. Troopers, you got it. PD, you got it. Chris, you got it. So I'm a victim. There's a crime going on right now. These towers are still being utilized. They're still powered up. The research program is still active. It's running. It's operational, Chris. I just reported a crack dealer in your neighborhood that was selling crack cocaine to your children, and he's got a whole posse in there and all these new chemicals they're going to be making super crack, Chris. Shouldn't you be deploying SWAT and all your soldiers and suiting up and getting out there to shut that crack operation down? That's what you would do if I was reporting a crack operation, but I'm reporting what the United States military is doing to Americans. So you'll go after the crack dealers and the meth addicts and all those people. Say you're making the community safe, Chris. How are you making the community safe? You're permitting these sky poisons to take place by permitting these ground units to be operational, by refusing to do what you should do because you swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, and the Constitution is being violated by traitors. It does not matter who they are, what position they hold. Violations are occurring in Cleveland County. You are the Cleveland County Sheriff. You've been notified that simulations are being ran against military equipment, and that you're being offered examples of ways that we could shut these down, destroy them, take over an entire campus without harming life. Can it be done? Yeah, it can be done. It can be done. You can't be harming life when you're saving lives. Jesus didn't kill none of those soldiers that were beating on him, flogging him, kicking his face in, spitting on him, urinating on him. He didn't kill. He could. You know what he could have done? When he said, "I am he," the whole army flew back, landed on their butts. All you had to do was speak the word, man. We're not going to go out and harm life to put a stop to the problem. Then we've done the very thing that they're doing. Then we've got that blood on our hands. I don't have that blood on my hands, Chris. You're getting that blood. You're getting ready to dip your hands in the pool of blood if you do not get out here, do your job as the sheriff. You're going to dip your hands right in that blood. Then you got to look in the mirror, and you're going to see a coward. I know what you're going to see. I know how you're going to feel. You know, I know it. It's not a good feeling. You're going to see it and feel it, but go ahead. Forgive yourself. Jesus died for your right to be a coward too. Maybe you should find a new line of work. You guys have the evidence. You know the FBI have the evidence. You can't go to the media and say, I'm some crazy guy lying. Everything I'm reporting is the truth. There's no lies. And when I said that they were going to protect these weapons, they did. We filmed it. We showed you. Well, you're part of the operation, right, Chris? Norman PD, Oklahoma PD, University PD. Yeah. JTTF. You still got feds running around, keeping a super close eye now. I'm not trying to break through no wall to get the world's attention. There's already people paying attention that can get this information out and put it in a neat little package on how to run these simulations, how to target these weapons, how to shut them down. If the President of the United States is going to refuse to protect the American people, make our skies blue again. Okay, Chris. I'm going to go back and plot and scheme. There's some people listening, Chris. They're going to help me. I'm going to be getting some items. You know I'm posting up. There's a lot of homeless over there right by the Walmart. Pretty sure you guys know where I'm at. Went into the Beale Air Force Base Walmart, I don't know, probably about 30 times in those 6 weeks. Got a lot of creative stuff. A lot of 911 calls were made because the military was poisoning the sky and people were calling law enforcement like crazy because of what a journalist was doing on a bridge. You guys know what to do. Send the funds to PayPal. Don't use the Cash App for this particular one right now. If you want to say anything to Cash App, Samantha has that. She's in a safe location. I do need to pick up a tripod. I got some funds and stuff for the main stuff I'm going to need to start with. But we're going to be returning to see if 911 and law enforcement is going to respond to everyone out here calling them. And we have some great ideas on how to get these people to call them. We won't be impeding traffic or causing any safety concerns for the public. We will be continuing to broadcast our new special on how to eliminate directed energy weapons that the United States military is using against you and your loved ones to play God with the weather. And if we're going to awaken an army, we got a few of our homeless that is joining me. Another journalist flies in tomorrow to be with me. And we're going to see how many of these people out here we can get to stop to come and talk to me. And you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that'll pull over to try to figure out what's going on. All right, Chris. Told you the office was here on Monday. I'm not going to your guys' offices no more. I'll be back here. I guess you better let 911 know that they're going to be getting quite a few calls for this particular intersection. God is good. Gotta go. VOP News.